Lamar Jackson is just on a different planet.
5 touchdown passes.
He cannot be stopped.
Jackson throws it, pass caught for the touchdown.
Lamar Jackson scored 45 touchdowns in 2024, and the NFL still gave the MVP to Josh Allen.
He is in. Touchdown, Buffalo. Oh, the play of the year.
Josh Allen can do magical things.
Most valuable player presented by Invisalign is Josh Allen.
Okay.
This was definitely weird and seemed to shock a lot of people.
I was shocked that Josh Allen won the MVP.
How can he be the MVP and not the all-pro quarterback?
Josh waits to the last second. He's it downfield. Shakir is open. What a throw by Allen.
But Lamar's snub honestly should have been predicted from a mile away. This wasn't anything new. His disrespect started 6 years before at the Combine when teams asked him to play wide receiver. He then became the youngest MVP ever in 2019.
Get in zone again. Snead's got it. The 4th touchdown pass of the half for Lamar Jackson, putting on a clinic. 5 touchdown passes.
Congratulations to this year's most valuable player, Lamar Jackson.
Won it again in 2023.
Spread it out for Lamar to read, and he will step up and go inside the 5 to the goal line and in.
And buys time to the end zone for a touchdown, Aguilar.
Lamar Jackson.
And somehow was even better in 2024. However, we got to go back to 2018 to fully grasp what made 2024 so special in the first place. In 2018, Lamar Jackson walked into the NFL scouting combine as the most electrifying quarterback anyone had seen in years. He had just won the Heisman Trophy at Louisville, where he threw for over 3,600 yards and ran for another 1,500. The numbers were ridiculous. But instead of talking about his arm, scouts and analysts spent the entire week asking if he should switch positions. Teams wanted him to run wide receiver drills and work out as an athlete instead of a quarterback. Lamar shut that down immediately. He told reporters, "No teams have asked me to play wide receiver, I'm strictly quarterback." That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. The draft narrative had already been set. 31 teams passed on him before the Baltimore Ravens finally grabbed him with the last pick of the first round with the 32nd overall pick.
The Philadelphia Eagles have traded 32nd pick to the Baltimore Ravens. In the 2018 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
Every quarterback-needy team decided they'd rather gamble on someone else than trust the youngest Heisman winner ever. The knock is what you would have expected. He can't throw from the pocket. He's an athlete, not a QB. He's too skinny and he'll get hurt. Never mind that he just put up better passing numbers in college than half the guys drafted ahead of him. The league saw a runner with a big arm and decided the arm didn't count. That was the first time the goalpost had been moved for Lamar Jackson, and plenty more were to follow. The truly wild part is how open they were about it. Analysts on national television debated whether he should work out as wide receiver, and draft experts wrote columns about how his accuracy would never translate. They ignored the fact that he played in a spread offense with average weapons and still dominated the ACC. It was scouting malpractice, and it happened on the biggest stage in the sport. Think about who went ahead of him. Baker Mayfield went 1st overall to the Browns. Sam Darnold went 3rd overall to the Jets. Josh Allen went 7th overall to the Bills. Josh Rosen went 10th overall to the Cardinals. Every single one of them was treated as a QB. Lamar wasn't. The Ravens deserve credit for taking the shot, but the fact that he was still on the board at pick 32 tells you everything you need to know about how the league viewed him. They didn't see him as a franchise quarterback. They saw him as an athlete they could maybe convert if the quarterback thing didn't work out. And Lamar heard all of it. He didn't hire a traditional agent. His mom managed him.
Now, you made the decision to not have an NFL agent and to have your mom represent you. Is that correct?
Actually, my mom is my manager. I represent myself.
He refused to run the 40-yard dash because he didn't want to be pigeonholed as a workout warrior. He wanted teams to judge him on his tape alone. But the draft industrial complex doesn't work that way. They want measurables. They want to put you in a box. Lamar wouldn't fit in their box, so they tried to change it. When he finally got to Baltimore, the plan was to sit behind Joe Flacco for a year. That lasted about 8 weeks. Flacco got hurt, Lamar came in, and the Ravens' offense immediately looked like something from the future. He ran for over 100 yards in his first start, and Baltimore went on a tear. The coaching staff had to completely rebuild the offense mid-season because they didn't actually have a playbook for what this kid could do. And that was the beginning of a pattern. The league keeps asking Lamar to fit into their mold. He keeps breaking the mold and forcing everyone else to catch up. They lost in ugly fashion in the playoffs against the Chargers. Some even called for him to be benched. That rookie season set the template for everything that followed. Lamar gets all the blame and too little credit simultaneously. It's the most exhausting double standard in the NFL, and it's followed him for his entire career. When the plane touched down in Miami in 2019, Lamar made everybody who passed on him look stupid immediately. During his first full season as a starter, he threw for 3,127 yards, a league-leading 36 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. He added 1,206 rushing yards and scored 7 more times as a runner. That rushing total is still the single season record for a quarterback. He won unanimous MVP. At 22 years old, he was the youngest MVP in NFL history.
So congratulations to this year's most valuable player, Lamar Jackson.
There was no debate. It was one of the most dominant seasons anyone had ever watched. With that came another playoff disappointment though, this time at the hands of an upstart Tennessee Titans. In the very next offseason, the conversation changed. People stopped talking about the historic season and started talking about January. The praise came with a caveat. Let's see it now in the playoffs. Then 2020 came. The Ravens won a playoff game against Tennessee. Lamar finally got the monkey off his back.
And he's got it more. Lamar Jackson down the sideline. Will they give it to him? They will. Touchdown, Baltimore.
But then Buffalo knocked him out 1 round later. Lamar was fine in that game, but not great against the Bills. And just like that, the Tennessee win was forgotten. The narrative reset, another playoff loss. Another proof that he couldn't get it done. No matter what he did, the conversation always circled back to what he hadn't done yet. 2021 was the injury-riddled year. He missed the final 4 games with an ankle injury, and the Ravens collapsed down the stretch. People now called him fragile because he got hurt. And it was even worse because he got hurt again in 2022 against the Broncos. That's when things got loud.
Here we go again with another quarterback that's athletic, that can move around. Guess where he got hurt at?
For Lamar, any down year is proof that the experiment is over and that it was a failure the entire time. 2022 was the contract year drama. He couldn't reach a long-term deal with Baltimore. He represented himself. The media painted him as greedy or unrealistic. Other players get leverage and it's business. Lamar does it and he's difficult. The Ravens finally tagged him, then gave him the contract in 2023. And he proved he was worth the money all over again. The 2023 season was his comeback tour. He won his second MVP.
23 AP Most Valuable Player presented by Invisalign is Lamar Jackson.
He took the Ravens to their first AFC Championship game of his era. The Ravens lost to Kansas City 17-10. Lamar completed 20 of 37 passes for 272 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 god-awful interception. The stats don't look as bad as he truly was that game. Immediately, the narrative went back to the same old Lamar. Can't win the big one. Never mind that Patrick Mahomes does this to everybody. The 2023 MVP itself was already controversial in some circles, and the AFC Championship collapse gave critics a permanent excuse they would use 1 year later. And that's the entire story of Lamar Jackson in a nutshell. He's held to a standard that doesn't apply to anyone else. One playoff loss erases a unanimous MVP. Another bad championship game erases a second one. But that was all still a warm-up for his dominant 2024 season. The 2024 season opened up against the defending champ Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. It was an AFC Championship rematch. The Chiefs ended Baltimore's season 8 months earlier, and Lamar had something to prove. The game was tight the whole way. Baltimore trailed late but drove down the field in the final 2 minutes. Lamar had already made several big throws in the fourth quarter to keep them alive. He connected with Zay Flowers on a critical 3rd down and found Mark Andrews over the middle for a chunk gain. The offense was moving and you could feel the momentum shifting. A touchdown would potentially send it to overtime. The Ravens had the Chiefs on the ropes. On the last play of regulation, tight end Isaiah Likely caught what looked like a touchdown in the back of the end zone. The refs ruled it a score initially, then they overturned it on review. Likely's big toe was barely out of bounds by an inch. Chiefs win 27-20. Ravens lose by a literal toe in the line. Shout out KD. You could see the frustration on Lamar's face after the review. He threw it perfectly. Likely made an incredible catch. The foot was out, but the margin was microscopic. In a sport decided by inches, this inch went against Lamar. Again. That game was a perfect microcosm of the entire season. Lamar was going to be great, and something out of his control was going to ruin it entirely. Then it got way worse. The Ravens dropped Week 2 to the Las Vegas Raiders 26-23. Baltimore blew two 10-point leads in that game. Gardner Minshew somehow led a comeback. The Ravens fell to 0-2 for the first time since 2015. The media piled on immediately.
14-3 up until the playoff game against the Chiefs. Since then, their points are down, his numbers are down.
It was classic overreaction theater, but the noise was loud. For a player who already carries more scrutiny than anyone else in the league, an 0-2 start felt like a judgment on his entire career. It was ridiculous, but it was real. However, instead of collapsing, Lamar put together a 6-week run that should have buried every doubt forever. After rebounding a bit for the next few weeks and now being 2-3, the Ravens needed a spark to push them over the top. Week 5 in Cincinnati was where the season turned. The Bengals came in desperate. Joe Burrow was already putting up huge numbers. The Ravens and Bengals played a classic AFC North shootout that ended 41-38 in overtime. Burrow threw for 392 yards and 5 touchdowns with 1 interception. It didn't matter. Lamar threw for 348 yards and 4 TDs with 0 interceptions. He added a career-long 84-yard touchdown strike. The Bengals scored 38 points and still lost because Lamar was simply better. He earned AFC Offensive Player of the Week honors. In Week 6, the Ravens came home and handled the Washington Commanders 30-23. Jaden Daniels was a rookie sensation everyone was talking about, but it was clear Lamar was better. He completed 20 of 26 passes for 323 yards and a touchdown. He and Derrick Henry combined for 495 total yards. The Ravens scored on 5 straight drives. Daniels had a good game statistically, but Lamar controlled the tempo from start to finish. They ran out the final 3 minutes to seal it. Week 7 on Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was even better. The Ravens fell behind 10-0 in the first quarter. Baker Mayfield looked sharp, then Lamar took over. He threw 5 touchdown passes on just 22 attempts. He finished with 281 yards and a perfect passer rating. Tampa Bay had no idea what just hit them. Baltimore scored 34 unanswered points after the slow start and won 41-31. Lamar won Offensive Player of the Week again for the second time in 3 weeks. Week 8 in Cleveland snapped the winning streak. The Ravens lost 29-24. Lamar threw for 289 yards and 2 TDs. The Ravens actually took the lead late on a Derrick Henry touchdown run. But Jameis Winston drove the Browns down the field and hit Cedric Tillman for the game winner with under a minute left. It was a total gut punch. The loss dropped Baltimore to 5-3. But here's the thing about truly great players. They don't let one loss spiral. They come back sharper. Week 9 against the Denver Broncos was an absolute masterpiece. The Broncos had the 3rd-ranked defense in the NFL, and it didn't matter. Lamar completed 16 of 19 passes for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. His passer rating was perfect again. It was the 4th perfect passer rating of his career, tying the all-time NFL record held by Peyton Manning. The Ravens won 41-10. A top 3 defense got demolished by a quarterback who was supposedly not as good as everyone thinks. Then came Week 10 on Thursday Night Football against Cincinnati again, and this game might have been the best of Lamar's entire career. The Ravens won 35-34 in a shootout. Joe Burrow threw for 428 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jamar Chase went for 264 yards and 3 scores. The Bengals scored 34 points and had over 400 total yards of offense, and Lamar still outdueled them. He threw for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. He had an unreal run late, but the real story was the 4th quarter. The Ravens trailed by 14 entering the final 15 minutes. Lamar responded with the best final period he's ever played. He threw for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter alone. His 4th quarter passer rating was perfect. He led 4 scoring drives in the final period. He also became the only player in NFL history to throw 5 4th quarter touchdown passes against a single opponent in one season, counting the Week 5 overtime win. And the offense didn't slow down after Week 10. In Week 15 against the Giants, Lamar threw 5 touchdown passes on just 25 attempts. He finished with 290 yards again. In Week 17 on Christmas Day against the Houston Texans, he broke Michael Vick's all-time record for rushing yards by a quarterback. He did it on a 48-yard touchdown run that looked effortless. The Ravens won 31-2. By the time the regular season ended, Lamar had put together a campaign that checked every box. Volume, efficiency, clutch moments, records, division titles, head-to-head dominance over the guy who actually would eventually win the award. He had done everything the voters asked. He evolved as a passer and protected the football. He won the division and beat his biggest rival. There were no more excuses left, which makes what happened next even more unbelievable. That 6-week stretch from Week 5 through Week 10 was the best football Lamar Jackson has ever played, and it didn't even matter. By the end of the regular season, the numbers were absurd. 4,172 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 119.6 passer rating, which was the 4th highest single season mark in NFL history, 915 rushing yards, and 4 more touchdowns on the ground, 45 total touchdowns against 4 giveaways. He completed 66% of his passes. He led the league in yards per pass attempt and yards per run. No quarterback in NFL history had ever led both categories in the same season until Lamar did in 2024. The Ravens won the AFC North at 12-5 after starting 0-2. They beat Josh Allen and the Bills 35-10 head-to-head in Week 4. Lamar only threw for 156 yards in that game because the Ravens blew Buffalo out so early that the second half was basically a practice. The irony is incredible. He got criticized for not putting up bigger numbers in a game he won by 25 points. If he had thrown for 300 yards in a blowout, the same people would have just called him a stat patter. Then the MVP vote happened. Josh Allen won one of the closest races in years.
And the AP Most Valuable Player presented by Invisalign is Josh Allen.
Wow. A lot of people to thank. I know I'm going to forget a few, so I apologize in advance.
Multiple voters admitted they split the baby, giving Allen the MVP while Lamar got first team All-Pro. That's logically impossible. If Lamar was the best quarterback in the league, as those voters claimed, by putting him on first team All-Pro, then he should have been the most valuable player too. Those two things aren't supposed to go based off of somebody's feelings. They're supposed to represent pretty much the same thing. The fact voters openly admitted to splitting their votes proves the process was broken. And think about how absurd that sounds. The excuses voters gave were pathetic. Allen had never won before, so they wanted to give him one. Then came the value argument, as if carrying the Ravens to a division title with those numbers isn't valuable. Dan Orlovsky said value influenced his vote for Allen, even while admitting Lamar deserved first team All-Pro. But Monty Jones said it straight. The writers wanted to be nice to Josh Allen. And worst of all, several voters openly admitted the 2023 AFC Championship flameout was still in their heads. MVP is supposed to be a regular season award, but for Lamar Jackson, voters decided to factor in a playoff game from the previous year. The major thing that supported Allen's nod was a bunch of voters deciding that they felt bad that Josh just hadn't won yet. The pattern is undeniable for Lamar. Prove the doubters wrong, and they find more things to doubt. In 2018, they said he wasn't a real quarterback. He became the youngest unanimous MVP in history. Then they said he couldn't win playoff games. He reached the AFC Championship and won the second MVP. Then they said he couldn't repeat that level, and he put up 45 touchdowns, the 4th best passer rating ever, and the best dual threat season in NFL history. The bar for Lamar Jackson isn't the same bar everybody else gets. But the tape doesn't lie. 2024 was the most efficient season by a dual threat quarterback the league has ever seen. However, they moved the goalposts again, and they'll keep moving them. If he wins a Super Bowl, they'll ask for 2. If he throws for 5,000 yards, they'll ask for fewer sacks. If he wins another MVP, they'll compare him to somebody else. The standard isn't excellence. The standard is whatever Lamar hasn't done yet. So the question isn't whether Lamar deserved the MVP in 2024. He did. But there's a more important one to ask. What will it actually take for the disrespect to end? Since nothing has worked so far. So there you have it. Watch this next video if you haven't already and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching.